Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm in Nigeria, though, so it's afternoon here. So I would say good afternoon. Um, Welcome to Vendor Credits Merchant Webinar, a long-awaited webinar. My name is Chidera Ibuta. I am the marketing manager at Vendor Credits, and we're truly grateful, that you made it or made the time to be here. And we appreciate every single one of you that is here and every single one of you that sent in your questions ahead of today's session, which we'll be combing through very soon. It just shows your commitment to growth, your commitment to your business. And I mean, that's really why we're here today, right? Um, Today's webinar is a special one because it's born out of collaboration and deep listening. Collaboration in the sense of, just looking through and interacting with our digital partners, our e-commerce partners, and social partners alike, and just gleaning from data and insights from them and deep listening from our customers, from our clients, right? And in our research on e-commerce, on social commerce and digital platforms, something stood out very clearly. We saw that demand far outweighed supply on these platforms, right? And it wasn't just a small gap, it was a major divide. And we saw that it was really high, especially during peak seasons, peak seasons like Black Friday, like Christmas, and even, the end of year sales or end of year rush, right? And one thing that we noticed, or the insights that we got from there, was that customers want more than many businesses are currently able to supply, right? Not because these businesses lack ambition, but because they lack access to financing or the right kind of financing tailored to their business. They lack access to guidance and they lack access to support, the kind of support needed to scale, at the pace of that opportunity, which is exactly why we've decided to do today's webinar. We want to address common mistakes, structural challenges, and operational barriers, that small and medium businesses, face on these platforms, e-commerce platforms, digital platforms, and the likes. The things that stand between your business and growth, the kind of growth that your business deserves. Our goal really is to equip you with practical tools, insights and solutions, so that when these kinds of demand knocks, whether it is during peak seasons or, on an ordinary Thursday like this one today, you are fully prepared to answer boldly and successfully. At Vendor Credits, we've had the privilege of supporting thousands of businesses to meet their demand and scale sustainably and build resilience. And permit me to share a very recent success story with you. So a merchant came to us for support. He was a merchant from one of these popular retail outlets. He came discouraged, he came overwhelmed, and he was afraid that his business was going to fold, right? Because he couldn't keep up with the demand that his business was experiencing. But today, that same merchant supplies 7 times, what he used to that retail outlet. And this happened after joining us, right? His story is a reminder that sometimes, the difference between decline and expansion is access, right? Access to the right kind of financing, access to the right kind of knowledge, and access to the right support system, which is what this webinar has been designed to do with some of the experts that we have on the call. And in the spirit of that, before I hand over to our host for today, I want to introduce you to something very important, right? It's our suppliers, vendors, merchants community group on Facebook. It's important because you would be able to share, ask questions, network connect. So if you haven't already done so, I would strongly recommend that you join that group, that community today. It's free, like I mentioned, and it's an open space, where businesses like you can ask questions, you can get quick feedback, you can get reliable answers because there are experts on there. You can share your experiences, you can learn from one another, right? You can access business, industry, and supply chain tips. You can get updates, you can get insights, you can get quick information without waiting for a forum like this or another webinar, right? And it's a community designed for your growth, for, like I mentioned earlier, your networking, your connection, and for your business's resilience. And we would love to have you there so that you can also, or we can also share your success story when we have opportunities like this. So as we begin today's session, I would encourage you to be open, be engaged, ask questions if you haven't already sent in your questions, and just get ready to take away actionable insights that can transform your business to where you really want it to be. And, I want you to see vendor credits as your growth partner, who is ready to walk down that journey or walk that journey with you wherever it is you want to scale your business to. So thank you again for joining us and for your questions, like I said. But as I hand over to our host, Chidera Eneralu, I call him the other Chidera. He is our business growth expert. He would lead our conversations today on this webinar, and he would interact with our experts and ask them all the questions that you have sent ahead. After which we would also, hear from our media partners. But Chidera, over to you as you kick off the session for today. Thank you, everyone, again.
Thank you, Chidera. It's a pleasure to have everyone on. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to yet another exciting conversation with our merchants. Rightly, my name is Chidera Enehalu. I am a business development executive at Vendor Credit, and I will be your host for today. I'm excited to guide you on this conversation and also ensure that we make the most of the insights that we will be sharing today on this webinar. This webinar is one that has been designed. I can't overemphasize how important this and how timely this webinar is, because this is a discourse that is very important for vendors and merchants during the peak season. So we've positioned it at a strategic time for us to ensure that we share the wealth of knowledge that we have, and to see how we can ensure that our vendors and merchants rightly, capitalize on the peak season and, gain so much in terms of value and in terms of cash. So we would be diving right in. Basically, we have our guests, Babajide and Damilola. Thank you for joining us. These are experts in their field, and they will be leading this charge and conversation with us today. So thank you once again for joining us, everyone. If you can hear me and if you're excited and happy to be here, please, we would like to see some engagements on our chats. Introduce yourself and let us know where you are joining us from. It would be a pleasure to have you, have your knowledge, have your information, have your data, just know who we are discussing with, and then we can begin the session. So Babajide, Damilola, thank you once again. And without wasting further time, we will be diving right in. We have selected a couple of talking points that we are specific and will be hitting generally the bulk of our conversation. And these talking points would be rightly discussed and will be discussed with between Damilola and Babajide, our guest for today. So my first question would be directed to Babajide, right? As an expert in your field, what are the top visibility tactics for an e-commerce marketplace to stay competitive during the peak season? Peak seasons like Black Friday and the Christmas holidays. And furthermore, in answering the questions, we would like to also discuss what merchants can do to prepare for peak season, right? And in terms of logistics, Damilola will be taking that, and what businesses can cite, what businesses can be cited to show what they've done rightly, right? And how other businesses can learn from them. So Babajide, the floor is yours. Hello, Babajide, can you hear me? Damilola, I think you can kick off with the question while we get back to Babajide. Thank you.
All right, can you hear me?
Very well. Very well. Thank you.
Awesome. So to recap on your question is you're asking how merchants can prepare for peak seasons.
Yes. What can they do to prepare for peak seasons in terms of logistics? And what visibility tactics can marketplaces do to stay competitive during peak seasons?
I believe the visibility tactics is for Babajide.
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of logistics, peak seasons, as we know, it's usually a period in time where there's always increase in order volumes, and it's important for merchants to prepare for these peak seasons because one of the bad things that could happen to any business owner is not anticipating orders, or to put it in another way, not being able to meet demands from customers. So from my own perspective, I believe it begins with planning ahead. And to plan ahead is quite very simple. Each the way Planning ahead is different for each business, and for each business, it begins by reviewing sales numbers. So if for any reason as a business owner you've done this before, you you sold during the peak season before, that should already sort of give a picture of what sales usually look like. For instance, in our case, being a logistic company, we recently had to use our data from last year to anticipate how customers would demand for our services. So that's why I said for each businesses, it's different. So it begins with reviewing last year's sales numbers, or if there are peak seasons, like we're preparing for Black Friday now, we're preparing peak seasons like Valentine, we're preparing peak seasons like Easter and all that. So being able to review that data. So, and to review the data as a business owner, you have to be able to, you must have collected that data in order to accurately review, as opposed to to you must have the data and record so that you are not planning wrongly, right? So with the data available, you are able to then estimate how many orders you expect during the peak period rather. You must estimate, oh, how many orders do I expect? If I normally sell this, what do I expect? What are some of the trends during this period? What do I anticipate as a business owner? And once all of that is in place, the next thing to do would be to secure logistics early. And to secure logistics early means having a communication with logistic partners. I know quite a number of business owners that reached out to us, and then they shared their plan with us as to what they're trying to do during this period, just to confirm if we're able to meet their demand. So, like I said earlier, you have to be able to secure logistics early. So in securing logistics early as well, you must know what the capacity of the logistics partner is. So if there's a need for you to get alternative partners so as to meet that demand, or to get backups to avoid cases where packages are not being delivered in time or they are being delayed. Because one thing that is also very important during this period is that customers' expectations are usually very high. So being able to have all of that discussion with your logistic partner is a very important one. Depending on the type of products that is being sold or that you're selling, for some businesses, it's important to also position inventory closer to their customers. And what that means is, if you sell packaged or prepackaged products, it means that you need to be able to get the inventory closer to your customers. In this part of the world, I don't see that happen very often, but we've seen businesses who have tried to help other small business owners, keep their products. So take for instance, you are in Lagos and you sell products you want to send products to Abuja. If your inventory somewhere close to Abuja, makes it easier for customers in Abuja to quickly get it, as opposed to having to send from Lagos, which as I know, it takes about 3 to 5 days to deliver packages to Abuja. So imagine you've been able to position that inventory closer to them. So which means your customers can pretty much get the package same day. But like I said, it's something not very common in this part of the world. There have been businesses who have tried to do this, and it's not been a very successful one. So, but if that works for you, being able to position inventory closer to customer is also something that could help prepare for peak season to ensure that you're able to meet demand. Also, in the area of meeting demand, automating the order handling. So we all know that the delivery orders start from when customers place their request, right? But then in between that, before customers get their package, there's always the part of packaging, getting a delivery partner. You also want customers to be able to track the packages, and you want to give them updates in between. So ensuring you have a system in place that can automate this process as opposed to having to do everything manually is something that I feel merchants should take into consideration, so that they are also not stressing themselves during this period.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dami. You've rightly answered. Okay, Damilola. So I would be asking you the next question while Babajide sorts his network. So the question would fall around packaging. This is a period where we have most of the issues around what I ordered versus what I got. And we don't want merchants or vendors to fall into this category of returned products, because when the products got to the customer looked at it and it basically wasn't what he had seen on the vendor's website. So what role does packaging play during peak season? You can also state examples of how packaging has impacted e-commerce merchants. Rejection rates from shoppers. I mean, we have platforms where these merchants are active on, and then when they deliver the product finally to the customer looks at it and say, "This is not what I ordered for," and sends it back. So can you state examples of how packaging has impacted e-commerce merchants, and what are the most common packaging mistakes small sellers make during peak season, and how can they avoid them? Then what also can merchants who are on tight budgets, what is the most cost-effective way to source durable packaging materials that still look professional?
Thank you, Chidera. Thank you. Packaging plays a huge role in e-commerce because it goes beyond just the container. It plays a huge role, as I said. And when you look at the state of e-commerce today, packaging is the only physical touch point that the brand has with the customer. So it is usually the moment of truth, right? The customer sees your product online, and they decide to take that initiative to purchase from you. Um, it is when they actually get the package in their hand, and that's when the truth behind what you're selling becomes obvious to them. So, which is why packaging is quite very important. And like I said, it's the only physical touch points the brand has with the customer. And so, knowing that, it's important for e-commerce merchants to pay careful attention um, to the packaging because it affects customer experience, and it also determines whether the customer accepts your product or they reject it, right? And so putting that into consideration, um, you as a merchant, you don't want a situation where a customer is getting your package, your product rather, and it's damaged, right? And though I know in the area of damaged boxes, logistics also plays a huge role because we've seen cases where the delivery handler sort of mishandled the package. So which is why it's also very important to choose the right logistics partner, right? Also, in the area of packaging, if the packaging is not well sealed, if the product is not well sealed, right? Especially if it's a fragile item, that could also lead to it could also increase returns. And for some merchants, during this period, because of the rush and all that, rejection rates is as high as 15% because of weak packaging. Because, like you said, um, the case of what I ordered versus what I get is something that still happens very often. So, but saying all of that, it just shows how packaging impacts e-commerce merchants and why, as a merchant, you have to pay careful attention to packaging. Some of the mistakes that I've seen merchants make, which should be avoided, has to do with number one, has to do with the boxes. Um, so using boxes that are too big or too small could have a negative experience on the customer. So it's important to use right packaging, right size packaging with fillers, right? So fillers are just going to provide that support to ensure that, especially for fragile items, to ensure that nothing happens to the item is not doesn't spill or it doesn't it just doesn't it's not mixed up, right? So using the right box is important. I've seen merchants reuse weak cartons or weak liners. I personally received a package from a merchant that we bought something on online, and the nylon used wasn't actually a new one, right? So reusing weak cartons, weak nylons is a common mistake that we've seen merchants also make. Another one is poor sealing and labeling. A lot of time merchants send out packages and they don't label it. They sort of assume that um, the delivery handler would just figure it out. But when you consider the current state of things where a delivery handler is most likely also serving other merchants, it's important to label the package very well, and most importantly, seal it very well. So poor sealing is a common mistake. Um, Also, a common mistake is ignoring weather sensitive or fragile products, right? So I've seen cases where during rainy seasons, we see merchants just package their products just anyhow. And then when there is rain, for instance, right, the the package gets affected, which ultimately affects perception of customers, right? So, but in terms of cost effective ways, if your product really needs to be packaged very well, so it's important to buy in bulk, right? To buy in bulk from local packaging manufacturers. I know in motion there are a lot of packaging companies that make boxes. So being able to buy in bulk would help reduce costs. And if it's not it's not actually compulsory to sort of like custom print your packaging. So I've seen cases where merchants, just want to like put their brand name and all that. So they spend a lot having to custom print their packaging. So for me, a cost-effective way to do if you must label or put your brand name on the packaging is to use branded stickers. Stickers are much more cost effective than custom printing. These are some of the things that I understand with packaging and how I know packaging plays a role in how your product, your brand is being perceived.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I believe our merchants, I believe our vendors are getting a lot of valuable gems from Damilola. I believe with this, we would be avoiding most of those stories of what I got, what I ordered versus what I got. I know that taking notes of these steps that we are and these advices and counsels that we're getting from Dami, most of us would play safe and play very well this peak season to avoid quote and unquote stories that touch. Because I mean, I have been a victim of what I ordered versus what I got delivered, and it was not a nice experience because I had to return it. So thank you so much for hitting the nail on the head. I will be moving on to the next question. So thank you. You've rightly said how we can avoid. You've stated examples of how packaging has impacted. And also, I think you've mentioned how we can, most of the merchants that are on very tight budgets where they can source for durable packaging materials. How do you ensure this would lead me to my next question. How do you ensure that packaging your brand online is done the right way, that is in line with what you're able to deliver while ensuring quality?
I'm not sure. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, so how would a vendor ensure that my packaging, right, the way I've packaged my brand on the internet online is done the right way, that is in line with what I am able to deliver while ensuring quality?
So in the area of packaging, like I said, it's usually it's the touch point, right? And depending on we've seen very funny ways that people package products. Some days ago, I saw someone selling meat pie. Yes, meat pie, and it was just about 6 pieces of meat pie. But then the way they packaged it, it just says a whole lot. To me, I feel the packaging wasn't needed, but at the same time, we've seen merchants they use packaging to sort of elevate how their product is being perceived, which is very, very good. So depending on the kind of business that you are doing, right? The kind of business, the kind of brand that you're trying to, it's important to ensure that your packaging meets that expectation. Because, like I said earlier, packaging, your brand, your packaging rather is the only physical touch points the brand has with the customer. But that does not mean that you should overdo, if that's the word, you should overdo such that you're having to spend too much, or you're having to money that could have been converted as profits. You're having to spend so much on package. In some cases, we've seen merchants who actually, because of the packaging, their customers tend to pay more for that product, right? So I believe it's important to create a balance in doing that. But most importantly, just ensure that whatever packaging option you're going for, you must stay within limits such that you're not spending too much. And most importantly, because at the end of the day, if they end up getting the package, in most cases, the packaging might be trashed up, right? I think what's really more important is the product itself. So, but putting it in a cost effective um, package such that it sort of positions your brand as a brand that pays attention to little details, right? Is how I feel merchants should go about it. But like I said, um, because you need to pack it does not mean it has to be too expensive, right? And if you're having to sell fragile item, I think in the area of being very very careful, it mostly has to do with fragile item. Being a logistics, working in the logistics field, I've seen cases where a merchant is sending out liquid item. It ends up becoming our own problem because when the item is not well packaged, we usually would need to fill in for that vendor, right? Because they end up putting the blame on the logistics. So, but depending on what you're selling, it's just important to pay attention to these little things, and most importantly, depending on the brand that you're trying to portray or present to your customer, ensure that you're using a packaging that sort of puts you in that light.
Thank you. Thank you. Rightly said. Dami, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge you have shared so far. It's really amazing what we are picking up from this session so far. Babajide, I believe, is back on the call, and I would like to confirm that. Babajide, if you can hear me, please confirm, as I will be asking you the next question.
I can hear you. I only need to confirm if you can hear me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Welcome back. So your question would be, what are the top visibility tactics for an e-commerce marketplace to stay competitive during peak seasons? What are the top visibility tactics for an e-commerce marketplace to stay competitive during the peak season?
Earlier, very, 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 and before, you know, the as a marketer, which now people and startup, they make the voice to the if try to do the we must look at the game give
Babajide, sorry, we are struggling to hear you at the moment. It's
yeah.
We are struggling to hear you at the moment. So I think what we would do is we would go over the questions that we can throw to Dami while you sort out, then we'll bring you back in to answer your questions. I think that's a good way to go about this. Thank you very much, Dami. So another question I have for you, Dami, while Babajide sorts out his network issues, would be, what's a very practical way for small merchants to calculate the right amount of buffer stock to prevent stockouts without overstocking? So to say in this period, yes, to say in this period, how do we calculate the right amount of stock that we need to buffer for us, right, to prevent stockouts during the peak season without necessarily overstocking our inventory?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I believe if you're selling more than one product, um, not all products sell at the same rate. So it's important to track fast moving products on a daily basis, right? But to calculate the right buffer stock, it's a very simple formula. And some of the things to note from this formula, or to take note here, it includes average daily sales. What do I mean by that? How much do I typically sell on a daily basis, right? Um, with without peak season, right? Without peak season, what do I typically sell on a daily basis? It's also important to know um, how long it takes to get new supply. So because we, as a merchant, we rely on other people to supply us, we also have to factor in when the supplier and herself or himself needs to restock, right? So how long does it typically take for me to order for or go to the market to get new product and then get them? For some people, it's as easy as just going to the market and then you have them, you have the product ready, right? So, but if it has to do with um it has to do with maybe you have to order ahead and then you need to wait for some days. You need to take all of that into consideration. If you are into production, probably you are into cosmetics and stuff like that, you have to take into your lead time is basically how long it takes for you to produce to produce your product, right? So first I said knowing what you typically sell on a daily basis. Second is lead time, which is how long it takes for you to have new products ready. Then the third one is your safety margin. So safety margin is your expectation for this peak period. Like I said earlier in my earlier response, you must know what you're expecting. What are your estimation for this period? So am I expecting a 50% increase in sales, right? So knowing all of that, first I said average daily sales, lead time to get new products. I thought is your safety margin. So once you have all of these data or information available, so let's take for instance, if you sell 20 units in a day, if you sell 20 units in a day, and it takes you about 5 days to get new products, to go to the market or to get it from your suppliers, and you're expecting a 15% increase in sales. So the simple formula is this: you take your average daily sales, multiply it by the number of days you'd have to wait to get new products. So why do we need to do this? So if I typically sell 20 in a day, right? And
Yeah.
I need to wait for 5 days, right? So you don't want to wait for 5 days before before you get new product, because in between in those 5 days your customers are going to be demanding for your product, right? So you want to ensure that
Yes.
you've calculated what you need to have. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the new stock, I need to have at least 20 20 units of this product for the next 5 days. So that aside, once you have that calculation, then you add it up with you take your your average daily sales and multiply your safety margin. So I'm estimating that sales will spike up by 20%, right? So if it is by 20%, you multiply your normal daily sales, your average daily sales by 20%. So that 20 by 20% will give you, let me pull up my calculator, please. 20 multiplied by 20%. Okay, so 20 multiplied by 20%. So you sell 20 normally, and you're expecting a 20% spike in order. So 20% of 20 is 4, right? So which means on a
Yes.
daily basis, you must have 24 items or units ready to sell, right? So That's on one side. So like I said earlier, you take your average daily sales, multiply by the number of days that you have to wait to get a new product. So if you have to wait for 5 days to get new product, so 20 units that you normally sell on a daily basis multiplied by 5, that is 100, right? Plus your average daily sales multiplied by 20%. So that gives you 4. So which means in addition to that, you need to have you need to have is it possible? Is there a chart here for me to? Because I think it's better
Yes, there
to.
is. Yes, there is on the chat. You can drop that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's drop. It's loading.
Okay.
Oh, chat is turned off. Is that something we can look into? The chat is turned off.
People can. Okay. Okay. Let me see. We can. While I get them to sort it out, I think we can move ahead. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, it's a very simple formula. Your average daily sales multiplied by the number of days you have to wait, right? Plus
Yeah.
your average daily sales multiplied by the percentage estimation in spike for orders, right? So once you have those, you add them together, that will give you the number of stock you need to have. So if I don't know for businesses, for different businesses, Black Friday is usually a single day, but I've seen Jumia, for instance, has started their Black Friday since the beginning of this month. So different businesses with different tactics to sell. So if you take into account the number of days you're planning to sell, right? You take what you normally sell, right? Multiply by those number of days, right? Because you're trying to calculate for what you need to have for that period, right? And then how many percentage in orders do you expect an increase? So if you're selling 20 and you're expecting a 20% increase, that's like four in addition to the normal 20 you're selling. So you do that on one end, right? And then add it up with the number of days that you need to, your average daily sales plus multiply by the number of days, then you sum it up. Once the chart opens, I'll put the formula here, just a very simple formula. But like I said earlier, you need to know what your average daily sales is. How long does it take for you to get a new product, right? And what percentage estimation in order spike are you expecting for this period? Once you have all of this, it makes it easy to plan for you to plan your buffer stock.
Thank you so much. I believe we have a thorough understanding of what we should do when we are trying to stock up for the peak season in order to avoid overstocking, because you are then left with the problem of what do I do with this excess stock that I have in my inventory. And you know that after the peak season, sales most times tend to decline, right? So I think what you've said speaks directly to what we want to address. And I know that our merchants on the chat, our merchants are having a thorough time understanding. They are taking in these insights so that they can apply it practically to. We already have Black Friday. We already have the Yakata sales. We already have Christmas coming. So this is a very good time for us to apply these insights to ensure that we do not overstock inadequately, right? So right now I would try to confirm. Okay, let me confirm. Babajide, can you hear me?
Once again, I can hear you clearly. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, very well. Great. I would be going over your questions so that we can, also tap from your wealth of knowledge, because I would be one person that will be pained if I do not get. And I know our vendors are, yes, our vendors want to hear from you. They've been asking. Babajide is the co-founder and CEO of Digital Box. So I would throw your question at you now, and hopefully we do not have the bad network. So what are the things that can hinder merchants from getting noticed or from maximizing a peak season even after becoming visible?
Okay, thank you once again, and apologies for, I hope you can hear me for a sustained period of time because I'm off video. So I think the very first thing I will want to do is you are talking about the peak seasons. One of the biggest weapons that I've discovered is the fact that the first thing you want to do is to create an offer. Create an irresistible offer, an offer that will make, people want to come in and buy from you at that period, during that period. One of the things that I've always thought about is that let's learn from the guys. During my periods of the bigger guys, during my period of transition from dealing with the bigger guys in the industry, one thing I realized that, number one, they are still learning from their competitors. What is working, what is not working. So one of the very first thing I discovered during my knee-jerk period, where I was moving from dealing with the SMEs and the business that are just starting off, the startups, I found out one important thing that they have work going for them, and that is preparation, preparation, and preparation. Their marketing teams already have an offer, and they are already prepared, not just now. They're not preparing like we normally, when we want to do, when the small business wants to do something like within 2 weeks, within 1 week, we're just going to do a Black Friday offer, or we need to prepare something for the Christmas. The very first thing that they made to work for them was at the beginning of the year, they have this period mapped out. Which are the peak periods? The first one will be, the new year. So what are you doing? What is your marketing plans for that? I am talking in the digital space now. Then the next one will be followed by, let's say, Valentine's Day. These are periods where people want to spend money. And then you need to meet your people at that point. So the preparation starts from the beginning of the year. So if there is something you have not done up till now, you need to know that I need to prepare my campaign, my offer, right, for next year from this year. Good enough, we're in the period of Black Friday. Black Friday starts every, November, like Damilola has said earlier. There you find some mega corporations, they are doing their offerings on every Friday. One will just be Friday. It will just be on a Friday. And some, it even spread, they call it Black Friday. You find a situation where they are doing it from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then even on Monday, they call it another name, they call it Cyber Monday. So they do that. This is an opportunity to just ensure that they cater for their people. Now you have a target focus. Some people will say, okay, for them, I am looking for bargain hunters. Some will say for them, they are looking for, a kind of loyalty bonus, something to do to compensate those people that are that are already buying from me. Well, I think from what I have learned, from what I have seen, you should combine both. You should not be able to focus, because your plan ahead should be focused on the bargain hunters first, because they are new, they don't know you, they are not your customers. And for me, I tend to focus more of the campaign on this sort of people. Because for me, when I look at them, the first thing I'm thinking of is the new people that are coming, they are 2 times more valuable than the people that are already in there. You see, the people that are already there, you've won them over. They are coming in from a situation where we call them in online lead generation, we call some warm lead, two classifications, warm lead and then cold leads. A cold lead is a lead who doesn't know you, but he's seen your advert, he's seen your campaign, he's seen your offer, he's coming to you. He's not going to just buy like that from you like a warm lead. A warm lead is already warm. He's known to you, he's warm to the brand. He knows you when he's dealing with you. He knows if I drop my 10,000, my 20,000 to buy a product from this, I will get it delivered. The trust has been established. So that word warm is you have already won them over. Now, for your business to grow, the reason why you are doing these offers, this peak period, is you want to bring people in. You want to ensure that the people who are in and then who are buying from you becomes a permanent member of the brand without at the same time losing the people who are already there. Now, the focus should be those who are interacting with your brand. How would you take them? You need to prepare for their coming in. Now, once they come in and they begin to surge in, now you begin to attend to them. You use all visibility tactics you can summon. Some of them will be, I would like to have them on maybe social media. I will try to cater for a social, but when you have an organic following on the social media, who are your followers? You are dealing with a warm lead. They already know you. They already know the brand. They've been buying from the brand. They've been dealing with you. That is one step. Now, I said the bargain hunters. The bargain hunters are not going to come from your warm lead, your natural followers. They're going to come from people outside that. And how do you reach them? You need to launch a targeted campaign. Now, with a targeted campaign, what do I mean by targeted campaign? We have a lot of people who are not doing that right now. We have a lot of people who don't even know how to go about it. For you to run a targeted campaign, you can get a digital marketer who sits down. You profile your audience. A digital marketer will need to sit down with you and profile what kind of audience do I have before I start this campaign. If you're in the food sector, you need to be able to profile this product, what kind of people are going to buy. At everything, there is no need for you to target a campaign for people that are 18 and 21 when your project is at a certain amount of money. I do tell my people I said, look, there is an age, that somebody who is 25 may not have the capacity to buy a product in today's Nigeria. We may not have the capacity to buy a product that is maybe 500,000, 1 million, 2 million. So it doesn't make sense to begin to target 18 to maybe 23 for that kind of audience. So you need to sit down with your digital marketer. These are my type of people who have been buying from me. I'm looking at people who are, between this age and this age. Then you also need to know the location. There is no need for you to target a campaign to people where you cannot reach out to them because you'll be wasting money on your campaign. For instance, one of the brands we manage is Pizza Hut. And one of the things we had as a challenge initially, they used to be in Lagos, but they are no longer in Lagos. They are now in Abuja and Port Harcourt. Now, I cannot offer my service to a brand in Lagos, but does it make any business sense that I'm targeting Lagos in my ads requirement? So you need to filter that out to make sure that your target, your campaign is well targeted.
Okay.
And once that is done, I've told you, some people say focus on loyal customers. I will say focus more on the bargain hunters who are coming, because once they come in, they are encountering your brand for the first time. And the field is wider when you do that targeted campaign. Once they come in, you should not be targeting for them to sell only, but to make them to be followers of your brand online, because that is an opportunity for a repeated buy. So one campaign for Black Friday can give you triple what your followers can give you in terms of sales. And once they come in, you also look for a kind of offers that will make them permanent followers. Always by giving them, for instance, I would prefer, instead of directing to a website, I prefer that, the kind of lead managed, because for people in your sector, they are more interested in lead, because there are different types of ad, really. You're not running awareness ad for this kind of campaign. You shouldn't be doing that. What you are running for this kind of campaign is conversion or sales campaign.
Yeah.
Because you want to make money, and then when they come in, you should be able to handle them, make sure they stay. And what you do, you get data. You keep track of the data of your new people who are coming, even if it is a website you are directing them to, or you don't have a website, they are coming in through your DMs, or they are coming in through your WhatsApp. Keep the data, because data is money. The value of data is all, as far as I'm concerned, what I've noticed, if you know how to handle data, it will give you 7 times the value of the customers and followers you have on the social media. I would like to stop a little bit there and then leave it to Chidera.
Yes, thank you. So for basically, something that should be taken home is focus on your baggage hunters. So if you're out there and you're listening, focus on your baggage hunters. They would help you have after sales even after the peak season. Thank you, Babajide. I think already you've answered the next question I had for you, which is why I said we wanted you to give your own insights on how to optimize sales during this season. While we are expecting Informa to tell us what we have, I would be asking Babajide. So Babajide, please. So in rounding up, we would have, I think the final question from our own end would be, so for merchants who use data and analytics, right? How can we use data analysis to refine our offers and improve conversion rates in real time? So we know that we're in the digital age and we make use of data, right? So businesses have their data, they have their numbers and their insights. How can we use this to refine the offers and improve conversion rates in real time? So we would like to keep this answer within 2 minutes, because we'll be running up by 5:10. 5:05 rather.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I really wanted to give more. I wanted to give much more, but with my network, so I just have to. Now there are 2 things I will like to the data management of how to use data management to get what you want. The first thing is that is a bit wide, and I'll try to explain that. There are 2, if you're running targeted ads, maybe if you can also, there are also some aggregators where you can do that with. I know Konga, and they are here, and I've worked with them in the past, so you can also do whatever you want to do with them, and it's a way of broadening your scope within their aggregator cycle, and they will give you that exposure. But let's imagine you have a website that is coming in, and there are some kind of data you'll be very, very much interested in. And there are 2 sorts of data that you can get if you're running targeted ads, for instance, by yourself. You want to look at Google Analytics. Google Analytics, you shouldn't have a website. I know so many people, even if it is just a landing page you are creating, you shouldn't have a website without Google Analytics, because Google Analytics tells you so much more. I will come to that in a little bit. And then another thing that you need to have is that if you're a website owner, and I mean, you have an e-commerce website, you are selling anything, don't forget you will not be there to interact with the people, except they put maybe a WhatsApp plug in for you to be there. And mostly from experience, the WhatsApp plugin, if they put it on that website, most people will not use it. They will want to go through the information you have. So if you have if you're running through Meta ads, you're going to have Meta pixel. Some people call it Facebook pixel. E-commerce website. All these are reading data and they are giving it back to you. So if you have an e-commerce website, you should have any one of these two. But if you're asking me what is my preference between the two, I'll say go with Google Analytics. Google Analytics is much wider. Meta Analytics goes with the website. The ads you are running, and it could only give you, is limited to that. But Google Analytics gives you whether you are running ads from anywhere, wherever the traffic is coming from. Google Analytics give you that. And there are some kind of things, like for instance, it will give you the source of your traffic. That is how good it is. Oh, you are running ads maybe on Google, on TikTok, or you are running on Facebook. It tells you where your source is coming from. I've spent money on Facebook. I've spent money on Meta. I've spent money on TikTok. Google Analytics does not care where it's coming from. As long as it's on the website, it will give you all those one. And it will tell you this is where it's coming from. It will also trace your audience journey. You should be looking at this. It will tell you how many minutes or seconds, people who are landing on that page, they are spending. For instance, if people are landing on the page and suddenly they are spending 20 seconds and they are going away, there's a way we interpret that. It shows you that something is coming wrong. The content you have, they are not finding it interesting. If you find 90% of the audience, or let us even say, for me, my standard will be 50% of the traffic that is coming, they are spending less than 60 seconds on that website, it tells me that they are not finding your offer attractive. That is, if it's 50, if it's like they are spending less than 60 seconds and they are off and they are not buying, it means you need to improve on the offer on your website. That is one. Now, if it's like 30 seconds or 15 seconds, it means that you are having a lot of false clickers. And then you need to go back and tweak your ad campaign, or tell whosoever you are that is working with you that something is something is very, very, very wrong. Now, apart from this, let's now imagine that you don't have a website, that people are just coming in. The kind of ad you want to run and the kind of data you want to run will be at the back of your will be in your, if you're running maybe Google statistics, Google, and you will have them. You will be more interested in what we call cost per click. If you are a business owner, if you're a seller, if you're selling something.
All right.
Or what we call cost.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're more interested in
I had wanted to come in
Yes, Ifeoma, we can hear you. Just a few minutes.
Okay.
Let Babajide round up, and then we would move over to you. Thank you.
All right.
Babajide,
No
please
problem.
round up.
You also be interested in what we call cost per conversion, because I realized that all through my years when I was starting these things, business owners are not interested by how many people come to my website and leave, how many leads you generated. What they are interested in, what you should be interested in, is cost per conversion. What is cost per conversion? Let me give you that kind of the data. Cost per conversion means how much have I spent, how much converted in price, in naira money. Am I spending 500,000 naira on this ad? And all the leads that comes through the ad, did it give me value for my money? And what is the value? Did I get maybe if you are getting 430 or 490,000 in return in terms of sales, it's a very bad campaign. So that is why you need to concentrate. For you, you'll be concentrated on your cost per conversion. But now, in terms of data analysis, if you really deep into these things, you realize that, like I said earlier, when you are running a campaign like that, like the peak seasons campaign, Christmas, New Year, your focus for people who are thinking, your focus should be long-term thinking. And what I will be thinking is that if I spend 500,000, but I got more new bargain clientele, I will want to look at my cost it does not necessarily mean I must earn 500. I will still have a hope that I've generated maybe 100 new business contacts who are coming in contact with my brand for the very first time. So if you're doing it yourself,
please
you
hold
like
that thought. Hold that thought very quickly. Can you hear me? We need to hear from our media partners, right? I know that you're fired up and ready to go, especially with the issue that we had with your internet. So I want to say two things before I hand over to Ifoma that was supposed to speak earlier. So apologies for the network interruption, and apparently our host had to step out for a bit, but I would gladly take over as the main Chidera. Just a side joke that we make. But let me hand over to Ify of Konga FM, who just wants to share a few things that are happening at the side of Konga this Yakata period, and also just share some of the things that they're doing at Konga FM. So I would hand over to her now. Ify, over to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you well.
Super. Okay, over to you.
Okay. Good day, everyone. Can you see me as well, just to confirm?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay. Ifoma Jumobi. I head Konga Communications, and Konga Communications has Konga TV and Konga FM as well. Konga 103.7 FM terrestrial, and we stream online on kongafm.com. I had given a slide earlier, or a profile. I don't know if it can be projected while I just run through it briefly. I'm not going to spend so much time. Okay, so we are commerce focused. We have a lot of focus on commerce, and we do a lot of push for businesses. We are Konga FM as much, but we expand beyond Konga FM. And one thing that has been going on for us well is that we really work with businesses, manufacturers, SMEs to give them rates and packages that are very suitable to them, because we understand the terrain. We also understand the challenges, businesses have to go through. But despite whatever challenge, we understand that publicity is key, and work with each customer, each business, each SME, each brand, each OPM or OEM, wherever you're coming from, to give you what suits you very well so that you can have great visibility. We started sometime around January. Between January and now, we've really gained massive listenership, massive attention, and we have different programmings tied into the different sectors. One of the programs that any business person can connect with anytime is the Market Square. The Market Square is like a marketplace where businesses come and they showcase their products. We also have Shop on Radio. Shop on Radio is the morning belt, 7 a.m. And when you're going to work, when people are going to work, we are able to showcase people's products and services for over a stretched period of about 1 hour. But of course, music and some other things come in between that time. But your product gets listed and announced within that time. And then when people are looking for where to buy, where's the next new product, where's the next shop where they can pick up, the products that they need, that is a show that, helps them, guides them to those services. Market Square is an interview program where businesses are interviewed. You come on and you talk about what you do, what you have, what you sell, what you produce. That Market Square, on Market Square, we've interviewed over 100 businesses, and it's really amazing. And the feedback has also been very, very fantastic. That show has a listenership of about 1.2 million, while Shop on Radio has about 1.3, that time belt. Then there's also another time belt, Morning Inspiration, that has over 1.7 people listening. And we had to work with some organizations to give us this feedback, and that's how we also know. Then sometimes we try to run feedback on ourselves, like reach out to people who are listening and ask them to send us messages, get back to us. And through that, we are also able to assess which person listens to what particular program and what time and all of that. And it's been very, very amazing and very impressive. One of the things I would not fail to let you know, especially in this time, because we're talking about high sales, we're talking about Black Friday, we're talking about November month, we're talking about the season which we are all going into. We looked at it and said, okay, since it's a Konga Yakata month, November, Konga FM cannot be left out. We have to also find something to do for our people out there, businesses out there. So right now we're running a promo, which will end around November. We're slashing our prices by 50%, and it ends by 30th of November. So what you would have normally paid to get your advert or to have an interview, you're getting that for half the price. The slash is by 50%. And, you can book advert slots that you can even use later if you are not able to finish up the slots. If you don't want to finish up this period, you can book advert slots. And for instance, an advert slot that is probably going for 8,000 naira per 30 seconds or 16,000 per minute, when you place it on your peak period, you're getting it for half the price. It allows you, accumulate much more. So that's also going on for the Konga Yakata season, which usually starts from 1st of November to 30th of November. It's something you can latch onto this period. And outside that, we are commerce and hit music station. We're known for commerce, and everything commerce, everything trade, everything business, we are all out to support it. We support it, especially if you're providing real solutions. We are all out to support it. Like I said, on Market Square, we've interviewed over 100 entrepreneurs, over 100 businesses. We also get consultants on that show, business consultants, and they give advisory. They guide businesses on what to look out for, market trends, and they are able to also direct listeners or businesses on, what to look out for and the best way to maximize opportunities out there. That show is usually from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., slightly beyond that. And we've also had great feedback on that, because sometimes people who are in the market, after settling in their shops, tune in and listen very well for opportunities. And then sometimes business people who are still on the road tune in, listen, and they gain a lot of opportunities, and we get that feedback. The feedback has been amazing. I think that's the much I'll be able to share right now, not to take your time too much, but I will just also let you know that it's a communications outfit. The video you watched, was there an audio to it? Because I didn't hear the audio on my own part, but did you hear the audio? Okay, moderator, did you hear the audio for the
audio as well? We can share it. We can share it after the
Okay.
session.
Okay, I will appreciate that. If the audio without the audio, it wouldn't make so much sense. But I just wanted to say that we produced that particular video. We didn't outsource it because there's a Conga TV arm as well that packages adverts, that packages events, covers events, reports events. In case you also have an event you want us to cover, we do that at very, affordable price considering your business. And yes, we package adverts as well for businesses. So it's a full communications outfit. We even have the activation arm that gets to push people's products and interact with the public directly. From the pictures and the slide that went through, there was the activation vehicle there for a particular brand we were also pushing at some point, but we've done several ones. So that's Conga Communications, in a brief, okay? And Conga FM is from the masses, people who are listening to us directly on 103.7 FM, and then the TV arm to also there for businesses to give visibility as well. So you can come on board, latch on to the Yakata advanced price slashes right now, promo going on, and make the most for your business. The place of visibility and constant communication can never be overemphasized. When you look at Coca-Cola and a few other brands, even MTN and Glow, you keep wondering, these people are big. Why do they keep still pushing ads on all platforms? On all platforms. So if you are able to also access all platforms, do that on all platforms, because some people that you catch on radio, you may not catch well on social media. Some people you catch well on social media, it varies. So as much as you have access to speak about your brand and push it, and at a price that is also considered for you, made affordable for you, lash onto it. It's never a mistake or a bad idea. Thank you. Once again, I'm a former Jumobi and popularly known as Ify Melody, your sparkling woman on air on Conga 103.7 FM and yes, on Conga TV. Okay, my light went off at some point and it's back on. I hope I wasn't too dark all through the video, but it's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ify. We're very used to this kind of things happening in Nigeria. So, it's not news to us, but I think you delivered
It's
that
part five. So
superb.
most people left, and sometimes when it's close of work,
All right,
I'm
that
not
makes sense.
exactly making it from my office, but a sister office. All right.
Got it. Thank you so much, Ify Melody. So, there's nothing like too much publicity for your business, right? If you are a true businessman, you would jump on this opportunity of 50% off this Yakata period. I remember when I shared the data, or rather insights around the kind of demand, that we see this period, especially on e-commerce platforms like Konga. So you want to hinge on that and tap into that opportunity while it's still available. So thank you so much, Ify. Unfortunately, we have just a few minutes, to go. And I would just ask for final words from Damilola and Babajide. Very quick, 1 minute, something that you can share in 1 minute that you feel that the businesses, merchants on e-commerce platforms and digital platforms must know or must do for their business, right, to flourish in this season. So what is that thing? What is that key takeaway that you tell them? Damilola in terms of logistics and packaging, Babajide in terms of digital marketing and putting themselves out there. We'll go with you, Damilola, first, and then we'll end with Babajide. Please, just 1 minute so we can wrap up before 7:25. Okay, Damilola, over to you.
Okay. So I think one last word for me would to merchants would really be about like we said and overemphasized, it's really about preparation and planning and positioning your business perfectly well. The demands are always there. Even as a logistic company, we were comparing our data last year and we realized that what we did in the last 3 months of the year was double of what we did in the entire first 9 months of the entire 9 months of the year. So that just shows that the demand is there. And when you also look at when you analyze the market data, the increase in smartphone usage, the increase in access to internet, the convenience in buying that has now been made available with social media and all that, it just shows that the demand is there. So as a business owner, you just have to prepare yourself and plan and position your business very well. And if you do everything right, you may not be 100. The important thing is just to try and take advantage of this period.
Great, thank you. Great submission, Damlala. Babajide, what about you? 1 minute, please.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Is it
please
my
go ahead.
network?
We can hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you,
All
Babajide.
right,
Go ahead, please.
all right. My last word for all merchants on vendor credit will be, if you're doing anything, take digital seriously. Digital is the only source that you can have that you can reach whoever you want to reach via a profile data. So I'm a firm believer on that. Don't think by sitting down and being on Facebook or Instagram or on the social media and you have a followership there, it automatically translates to sales. It doesn't always work like that. What it means is that you have visibility for your brand, but you need to go beyond the followership you have. I see a lot of people thinking, I'll just sit back and I'll just do this. There is need for you to reach the wider audience. And when you are doing digital, you can determine how many audience you want to. If you want to reach out to audience within millions, within a certain city, within a certain geographical location, within an age bracket, within a particular niche, digital can help you to do that as long as you have your money. And then another thing I like to tell everybody is, don't rely too much if you're a startup. Never rely too much on getting to pay digital marketers to do that for you. I will think you will want to learn this thing by yourselves. And I have often told people who said, oh, come and train me. I said, look, get right there on YouTube and Google about these things. And if you sit down enough, within 2-3 weeks, there are a lot you can be able to achieve by yourself. Because nobody knows your client better than you do. You do. So by your trial and error and trying, you will get there step by step. That is the way it works. And that is what I would just like to give as my final parting advice to everyone on this platform. Thank you. Over to you, Chidera.
Thank you so much, Babajide. You get there step by step. I think Rome was not I think I know that Rome was not built in a day. You stand, the challenges that your business or small businesses, medium businesses go through, which is why we put this webinar together. But I think we'll have to do another session because while this one, was packed with a lot of knowledge, and, our speakers were able to do justice to the questions that were asked, we still need to do another one, just so that we can give room for questions. We had issues with the internet, and unfortunately, we're not able to really deep dive into the matters, and the kind of questions that we know that you guys probably have wanted to ask, especially just calling from the things that Babajide and Damilola have shared. But they've shared, great gems that you can use in your business. And just try and replicate everything that Damilola said around packaging and maximizing your profits, and try not to put all your profits into your packaging material, instead of looking at the product itself and pouring more into the product, as opposed to packaging. While packaging needs to hit the right mark, focus more on your product. And Babajide has told us some tips around giving your business more visibility on this platform. So we're so grateful for your time, Babajide and Damilola. And for us at Vendor Credits, which is one of the reasons that keeps us going, is seeing your business thrive. As your growth partners, we are concerned about the challenges that small businesses face, which is why we've created platforms like this, and even the community on Facebook, for these kinds of conversations to keep going. We don't need to wait for webinars like this to have conversations like this. Thank you so much to everyone that joined. Thank you for your time and your patience. We'll definitely do this again. Hopefully Nigeria won't happen to us with the whole internet and power going off and those kinds of issues. But until then, please keep your business going. Keep trying to add to the efforts of increasing your business, through digital marketing visibility, and ensuring that your packaging is right. Until then, thank you so much for your time. Bye, everyone.